Week 3, yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Week 3 update of the Fundamentals League. I'm very excited here. We are using a similar format to what we had last week, but we do have one new segment, and we're transitioning into really trying to get this streamlined and done right here at BBTV. So I'm very excited to have my Mike back this week, of course. Brian with the ponytail and Tommy without the ponytail. Anything you guys have to say? No?
No.
No. Okay, thanks, guys.
I mean, I just had a really good pizza just like a little bit ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good insight. That's good insight. Are you guys as excited as I am for this week's update?
My stomach hurts. Oh, sorry. Moving on. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so moving on.
Be a good week.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good week.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so first up this week we're going to have Brian going over last week's recap. Brian, take it away.
Thank you. So let's get right into it. So first matchup that we're going to look at from last week was Leave Britney Alone versus Why Is This a League? Now, the point differential on this one was the biggest from this past week. It was 87-point differential. Matt, would you like to talk about why you had such a big lead over Why Is This a League?
Yeah, really, I just gotta say what made the difference is starting my players, of course. So playing my team was a big component to success. I did have a big showing out of my center and, of course, out of Tommy's very own Courtney Vandersloot. But overall, I think what made the difference was just not having players that were injured out there in my starting lineup, and also having my players be healthy. And the biggest factor was that my players combined, right, scored more points than my opponent. So that was really the biggest contributor to my success. Thank you, Brian.
Great insight, Beagle. Thank you. So moving on, we're going to look at Team Basket No Balls versus Aurora's own Troy Bolton. Now, the point differential on this one was, now bear with me, it was 69. Ooh. Funny.
Great.
So, well, we got a coach here.
That is the sex number, Beagle. Just wanted to keep you up to date on that.
Oh,
Back to you,
thank you
Brian.
for the clarification. Thank you.
Yes, it is. So this was the second biggest point differential in the league. Mike, would you like to give us some insight on why you did so poorly against Aurora's own Troy Bolton?
Well, you see, my players didn't really perform to the standards I was hoping they would. I did make a couple moves this week, so hopefully I'll do better this week.
Awesome,
And
yeah.
just to clarify, do you think that having two players who have yet to play any games in the league so far really hurt your team this past week?
I think that might have had something to do with the yes. They have been cut though, so hopefully the new ones I got will do better this week.
Thank you. All right, well, moving on to It's a Mia Mario versus This is George. Now, the point differential on this one was pretty close, but it was 67. Now, even though Satu Sabali put up the biggest points in the league for this past week, they still lost. Now, I think that definitely has to do with 3 out players still sitting on his bench, but I don't know. Now, moving on to, let's see, Vander Scoots, which has a new name. Tommy, would you like to talk about your new name?
Sure. Yeah. So I was constantly being referred to as the Vander Scoots instead of the full title of the Vander Sloot Scoots. So decided to condense it just into the Vander Scoots and be done with the confusion going forward. Back to you, Brian.
Thank you. Great insight. Thank you. Now, the point differential on this one was 23 points. It was closer than our others of 67, 69, and 87.
Ha!
So, thank you. I'm funny. So,
Looking.
I'm gonna cry.
Inappropriate. And Cheryl Dish.
Yeah, that was out of line. We'll
Sure.
talk about this later.
Okay.
So this one was definitely a close matchup. Tommy, would you like to talk about your win over the Hidden Valley Ranch?
Yeah, it really came down to just a few points. Realistically, it could have gone either way. What we saw as the biggest difference was the 4 players for Hidden Valley on Sunday versus my own 7 players, and it turns out that more players equated to more points, and that really was the difference maker here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, moving on to our closest matchup for this past week, it was Team I Miss Mayberry versus Never Give You Up Rickrolled. Now, it was very close here towards the end. It was a 13-point differential, which really it came down to, I think, the players and who played well on each team. And even though Never Give You Up Rickroll had Brianna Stewart putting up the second highest of 132 points, they still lost. Didn't put up another 13 points, Brianna Stewart, so you're going to have to do better this coming week. Now, just to look at our top performers of the week, I mean, we already talked about 2 of them, who was Satu Sabali. We had Brianna Stewart putting up 132. And then we also had Alyssa Thomas, who put up 114 points. Now, I think what this goes to show is that you might have one really good player putting up a lot of points, but you can still lose because 2 of our top performers lost in their leagues this past week. Now, Alyssa Thomas did help pull the win on This Is George. by a lot. But I think what this past week really showed was that anybody could do well in this league. There were a lot of close matchups, and I think that what's really important is those future moves and how well our players play. Back to you,
Yeah,
Beagle.
absolutely. If you actually take a look at that This Is George matchup, you can see that his third performer only had 18 points, and that definitely was a factor when you look at his other two top performers having a combined 248 points, so making up almost his entire point total for the week between the two players. So going forward, actually playing a full seven players would definitely make a difference for This Is George. Yes, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
Beagle, do you have any insight on this past week?
It was a great week. I am glad I made the predictions that I did. Not really any surprise from here. That Vanderscoots versus Hidden Valley Ranch game really did come down to the wire like I thought would. But ultimately Vanderscoots did pull that out. But surprising how Hidden Valley Ranch really kept that one, in the match there. And of course the other shock was my team pulling out the most points for any team on the week. So
congrats.
Thank you. So I think overall it was a really great week. Not much surprise, but things really did come down to the wire closer than expected. So
absolutely.
So now I'm going to go ahead and take a look over at our standings here. First up in the East, there's a two-way tie for a current matchup this coming week. The Vanderscoots sitting in first place, while It's a Me Mario is sitting in second place, but really they're tied for first over in the West. It's a Me Mario sitting at a 90% playoff percentage, while the Vanderscoots are sitting at an 86% playoff percentage. Hello. So once again proving that ESPN, when it comes to playoff percentages, still has absolutely zero idea what they are talking about. Third place in our Eastern Division, we have Aurora's own Troy Bolton sitting at 1-1 with a 58% playoff percentage. In fourth place, we have Hidden Valley Ranch sitting at 1-1 as well, just both of those being one game out from first place with a 59% playoff percentage. And last but not least, This Is George sitting in fifth place in the East, 0-2. 41% playoff percentage already, 2 games behind, so not looking good for George here. Over in the West, undisputed, we have Team Leave Brittany Alone sitting at 2 wins, 100% playoff percentage if I'm not mistaken. I am mistaken. 85% playoff percentage. Sitting in second place at 1-1 is Why Is This a League with a 36% playoff percentage. So once again, just really great numbers out of ESPN. Sitting in third place, Team I Miss Mabry, sitting at 1-1 as well with a 72% playoff percentage. So that math adds up there. And then fourth place, Team Basket No Balls, sitting at 0-2 with a 39% playoff percentage. And fifth place, Team Never Gonna Give You Up Rickrolled, also sitting at 0-2 with a 35% playoff percentage. So somehow Team George does have a better playoff percentage chance than Basket No Balls, Never Gonna Give You Up Rickrolled, who are also sitting at 0-2. But the real shock is the second place in the division. This Is George has a 41% chance, while our second place in our division has a 36% chance, sitting at 1-1. So love to see the numbers from ESPN, really just showing how great they can really predict these things for us here. So now I'm going to pass it off to Tommy here for our new segment. Tommy, what is this called?
This is called the new segment.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we are taking a look at here is going to be a few things. The first thing that we are going to look at is really going to be our best free agent move. And this move came on, let me make sure I got my dates right here. Yes, that is correct. It is Tuesday, May 30th at 11:15 a.m., where Team Leave Brittany Alone actually ended up dropping Awak Kair, who up to this point has only had a total of 22 fantasy points for Laisha Clarendon, and Laisha was able to post 91 up to this point with a total of, I believe it was, yes, 51 coming from the last three outings here. So we would have got credit for all 51 of those points. Um, and the differential between those two, dropping 14 and 51, is 37. So you gained an extra 37 points by picking up Clarendon there. So absolutely fantastic. And it did come into play here with those close matchups this past week. Moving on to our next person. This would be who needs to be left off of the team. So who we have here is Demarius Dantas, and she's currently sitting on This Is George's team. This should come as no surprise to anyone at all that This Is George would have players that need to be dropped. But up to this point, Dantas has not scored anything. Main reason being that she was waived before the season started on May 18th, and thus has not played a single game, nor will she play a single game this year. So may very well be time to cut ties there, but we will see what This Is George does. Given his past record, it could very well be the case that he just decides to let this roll and see if she does have a comeback later in the season, although not being on a team at all should hurt those chances. But a possible replacement for Dantas, there really isn't much sitting out there. But currently, I would say the best option we have is Robin Parks. Now, Robin isn't doing great. She is a bench player. She did post 22 points in her last outing with 20 minutes played. Now, this is by far a league high. Before that, she had only played in 4 games and totaled a total of 9 points. So, not the greatest numbers, but they are more than zero, which is what he's currently getting from Dantas. So, maybe a worthwhile move here. That's all I have from this side of my stats here. Back to you, Beagle.
All right, thank you. And next up here for our... Sorry about that. Next up here for our one of our last segments, we will be going over our predictions. Mike, take us away.
All right, so the predictions so far, Tommy has 7 correct and 3 wrong. Brian is 6 and
Thank you for
6
that.
and 4. I am currently 5 and 0, and then Matt, you are 9 and 1. So going forward, the predictions for this week, we have the first matchup is Team I Miss Mayberry versus Leave Brittany Alone. I have Leave Brittany Alone winning this week. Brian, who do you think is going to win this week?
So that was with Leave Brittany Alone and Team I Miss Maryberry, correct?
Correct, yep.
All right, well, let me just pull up really quick who I believe this was. And I'm going to have to say it's going to be Leave Brittany Alone. I think Leave Brittany Alone definitely has, so far, the highest potential in the league. But just given Team I Miss Mayberry's performance as of last week, I think that Leave Brittany Alone definitely has good potential here.
Tommy, who do you got this week versus
Taking a look here, we have really what should amount to be a closer matchup than I think most people are expecting. I will end up taking Lead Brittany Alone here, but I do think that I Miss Mayberry has potential to be kind of a sleeper in this league where it gets slept on week after week and will end up winning quite a few matchups. So something to watch for going forward here. We'll see how this one pans out, but Leave Brittany Alone takes it this week.
over to you, Matt. Who do you got this week?
Oh, long and hard.
Wow.
Sorry about that. It's always difficult. I've thought about this one long and hard, and it's always difficult to make a prediction against your own team. So, of course, I will be going with team I Leave Brittany Alone. Mike, who did you have for that one?
I had Leave Brittany Alone also, so it's 4 for Leave Brittany and 0 for Miss Mayberry. Moving on, we got Rick Rolled versus This Is George. I'm gonna have to say here it's gonna be Rick Rolled. It's they're both 0-2, so it might be close, but I think Rick Rolled's gonna take this one since George, has 3 hurt players and not on a team players on his bench. Over to you, Brian. Who you got this week?
Yeah, so I think I'm also going to have to give the win here to Rick Rolled. Though I do think it may be closer than we expect. This is George does have some decent players on his team, but I don't think George is going to be playing this week. And so I think that's really going to hurt him and ultimately give Rick Rolled the win.
Tommy, who do you have this week?
So taking a look at this one, I do think that This Is George has a fighting chance if we're able to communicate to him that he should be playing instead of just letting his team sit there and die quickly rather than slowly. However, I don't think it's going to be enough to get past a team that just barely missed getting their first win by 7 points last week. And I'm giving this one to Never Give You Up, Rick Rolled.
All right, Matt, who do you got this week?
This week, once again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but ultimately, Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Rolled is going to pull this win off. I think just based off the history of the previous games here for This Is George in this league, as well as in our fantasy hockey league, I think there's no debate here. This will be going to Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Rolled.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we got Hidden Valley Ranch versus Aurora's own Troy Bolton.
And if I may, I do want to just jump in here and give my opinion. Just to kind of go down the list instead of jumping around might make it a little bit easier. So between Aurora's own Troy Bolton and Hidden Valley Ranch, I do think Hidden Valley's been at the top of their game, while Aurora's own Troy Bolton has struggled a little bit early on, but did find a way to win last week. I think the experience is going to start to shine through for Aurora's own Troy Bolton, and we will see a win here. But again, I think it will be a close matchup.
Brian, who do you have?
Yeah, so I'm definitely Hidden Valley Ranch is my team. So I am definitely worried about Aurora's own Troy Bolton because they have definitely been doing well. I think that they haven't quite been playing to the fullest of their potential yet, and I think we'll just have to see this next week if they're going to be able to pull through. But ultimately, I think I'm going to have to give the win to Hidden Valley Ranch. I think it's definitely going to be a close one, and I'm not confident about this win, but I'm really hoping that my players continue to put up some good points, and then we'll be able to pull this one through.
All right. So for me, it's going to be a close matchup. I think they both have some good players. They both have a 1-1 record. Aurizone did beat me last week, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Hidden Valley Ranch. Slight win. Matt, who do you got?
You know, for me, like Brian was saying, it really is a tough toss-up. I think just based off of experience, Aurora's own Troy Bolton team owner Alicia does have significantly more experience in the fantasy realm. But ultimately, where my prediction came down to was who posted the most amount of fantasy points this so far this season. So for me, I'm gonna have to go ahead and go with Aurora's own Troy Bolton.
Okay, moving on. We got Why Is This a League versus my team, Basket No Balls. Tommy, who do you have this week?
Taking a look at this one, I do think there's a chance where Basket No Balls begins to really pick up their play here. And on the opposite end, we do have an opportunity to see a real slide from Why Is This a League? Just due to dropping that number one draft pick could start to really hurt him coming around here. However, I don't think it's going to kick in quite yet. And I am going to have to go with Why Is This a League just for this matchup currently.
Okay, Brian, who do you have this week?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree a lot with what Tommy just said. I think a lot of the moves that have been being made by both teams are definitely going to start to come into play. Maybe not this next week, but definitely coming up. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a toss-up here. It's really going to come down to just, how each team plays and how they really do. But I think it's really... I think that Why Is This a League is ultimately going to come out with the win on this one. We'll see coming up. Then on the oncoming weeks, I think Basket No Balls definitely has some potential there, but I don't think they're going to pull through this week yet.
All right, for me, like everybody else said, it's hard to predict with your own team, but I got to give it to myself. I did make a couple moves to bolster my team. I'm hoping that might bring me over the edge of and finally give me my first win. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to myself there. Basket, no balls. Matt, who you got?
Well, like everybody said, this really is a toss-up. Why Is This a League releasing their first round pick last week will be detrimental to the success to this team here. But ultimately, based off of, once again, experience and the fact that Team Basket No Balls has made absolutely no moves whatsoever up until about 30 minutes before our recap here. So ultimately, I'm going to go ahead and go with Why Is This a League?
Okay, moving on. We got the Vander Scoots versus It's Me, Mario. Tommy, who you got this week?
Yeah, so we are looking at two of the only three teams that are left that are currently undefeated. Now, if you do look at the deeper stats here in the standing section, you can look at the point differential here, and points for is currently being led by the Vander Scoots with 1,187 points for. Pretty close behind is Leave Brittany Alone at 1146. But to get to It's a Me Mario, you would have to drop all the way down to 948. And with the point differential of what has actually gone against him, only sitting at a 783, is good enough to be best in the league as far as a team that has faced some easy opponents here. I think this is going to be a real test of that undefeated record, and I think that he is going to come away wanting here. So Vander scoots, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Brian, who do you have this week?
Yeah, so I think this will be a very interesting matchup here. Ultimately, I'm going to have to say that the Vanderscoots are going to win this one, but I think that as Tommy was just saying, that It's a Mia Mario has definitely played a couple of the easier teams. One of them being This Is George, and the other one being Team I Miss Mayberry. But I think they definitely have some potential still in this league. They still definitely have some game, but I think they're going to have to really show it this next week if they're going to pull off this win.
So for me, ultimately, it's going to come down to I got to go with the Vanderscoots. I mean, I don't think it'll be a close match, seeing as Tommy has scored a lot of fantasy points with his team. Mario, I think definitely has some potential. Correct. He is 2-0, so I think he might lose this week and come back even stronger, possibly. Matt, who you got?
Well, like it's been said multiple times here, we do have a very interesting matchup with two undefeated teams, but it is still very early in the season, and It's a Me Mario really having an easy schedule up to this point so far. As you can see, It's a Me Mario has only had 783 points against him here, putting him in first place for the easiest schedule up until this point. While you can see the Vanderscoots are down here in 6th place, I believe. 7th place, my apologies. 7th place with 1,014 points against for him, having one of the bottom half of the schedules here. So ultimately, just given the points for the Vanderscoots, it's really almost impossible to not hand this one over to the Vanderscoots, or the now rebranded Vanderscoots. So that's our prediction segment. We're now going to go into the call-in section here, and we actually already do have a caller.
Call from
PC Network Pros, Inc.
At any time, you may press star to join the call.
My apologies, I'm clicking the wrong button.
Oh, do we?
Hello,
Who's
can
the
you hear us?
caller?
I can hear you.
Hi, how you doing? This is team owner Marty of course, our very own Why Is This a League?
Why is this a league?
Thank you. From our very own Why Is This a League? Marty, what do you have to say so far this week?
I think I left Brittany alone too much because he had too many plays for me to come back on Sunday. So I had him up until Saturday, so it was a disappointing last-minute loss to leave Brittany alone.
Right, of course, and that was last week's matchup we were referring to in Why Is This a League's loss to West Division rival Leave Brittany Alone, 491 to 404 points. This week, what do you think you can do differently to make a bounce back and get your team in the right direction?
I think we should be going in the right direction, considering we're third in total points in the league. So I think we have enough good players. As long as we have as many plays as the other teams, we should just be just fine.
That's right. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, no more home players. We can't. The sky is taking too many players.
That's right. Our hometown heroes do have quite a few players out here in our league. It's good to see the hometown heroes, but of course, it leaves not much variation. All right, well.
Okay, thanks for the show. See ya.
Thanks for the call, Marty. Best of luck to you this week.
You too. Bye.
All right, so that, of course, as I said, was Team Why Is This a League team owner, Marty. So it's always, like I said, great to hear from the GMs. We're still open for opportunity for anyone to call in. Any of the team owners, that is. While we wait, Brian, can you explain your hat to us? I don't think we've ever really talked about your hat there. Could you explain what you're wearing on your head?
Yeah, sure. Well, this was actually a custom-made hat. Let me kind of zoom in on you guys for it. Now, believe it or not, it is Versace brand, made in the rolling hills of West Virginia. And it was handmade by some of the WNBA's finest. And it's definitely a treasure. I bought it for this league because I'm very excited about it, and I wanted some, bling to show off in the movie.
That's great to hear. Thank you for the custom hat, Mike. I think we lost your camera there for a second,
sorry
but now
about
you're
that.
back. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and make a call. I don't think it's going to end well, but we're gonna try and call team owner Mario here of It's a Me Mario. But I highly doubt we will get a response. It's throwing it out on the whim here.
Please leave your...
It does not appear we got a hold of Team Mario. We're going to try one more call here from Team Rick Rolled. And of course, if any of our other GMs are viewing, you can call in at the number sent in the group chat. It doesn't look like we're going to get a hold of Juan either here.
Please leave your...
We did not get a hold of Team Juan either. It's tough to get a hold of some of our league owners here. We're gonna go ahead. Tommy, do you know if team owner Pete is busy by any chance?
I'm not sure. I did check with team owner Alicia. It doesn't look like she's able to call in at this time, but we could give Pete a try. Do you happen to have his number available on your end?
Yes, I do. So we're gonna go ahead and give team owner Pete a call here and see if we can get a hold. If not, we will be wrapping up a little bit early. Although, of course, we have been going for almost 40 minutes now, so...
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic...
So it doesn't look like we're getting a hold of any GMs this week. So we're gonna just go ahead and wrap this one up.
Well, I actually have a really funny joke, if you don't mind me interrupting here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Brian.
It's actually a joke about the WNBA, so I thought it'd be fitting. So
Okay.
the joke goes, why are there so many jump shots in the WNBA?
Why?
Because women can't drive. Thank you.
That was funny.
Yeah, that was something.
Um. Okay, so with that, I guess we're gonna leave early here. I did see you. I'm sorry we were in the middle of the broadcast, but I did see you, Conspiracy. It's great to see you in the chat, even though we are not being as responsive as usual. But this is actually our Fundamentals League here. So, for fantasy women's the WNBA Fantasy League that we have called Fundamentals. So that's what you'll be seeing a little bit more frequently here. As always, these videos will be available up on YouTube. And with that, anybody have any last remarks before we wrap this thing up?
Hopefully, it'll be a great week this week.
Brian, do you have any last comments after your?
Well, I know it's going to be a good week for me. I know Mike needs some hope with his good week, but I know it'll be a good week for me.
Great. And Tommy, any closing remarks from you here? All right, thank you, Tommy. Once again, the replay will be available on YouTube for anybody out there who's watching. And I hope to see you all next week. Hopefully we can get some more GMs in on the call. And with that, signing out. Have a good night. Ciao.